Yeah. All right. Good evening, everybody, and welcome. We're going to get our meeting started. We're going to get the meeting of August 2nd, 2018. Ben, can we have the roll call, please?
Deputy Mayor Chair.
Here.
Council Members Long. He is here. Council Members Shephaka.
Here.
Napolitani.
Here.
And Mayor Siciliano.
Here, everybody please rise for a pledge allegiance, and then please remain standing for a moment, a silent prayer thereafter. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The notice requirement for the Open Public Meeting Act for this meeting has been satisfied. A copy of the annual notice was sent to the Asbury Park Press Coaster, posted in Town Hall, and filed in the office of the Municipal Clerk on December 28th, 2017. There are two fire exits, one in the back of the room to my left, which takes you out to the parking lot and meanders down the hall, and then one to my right, which brings you out to the front parking lot. If you have a cell phone, now's a good time to turn it off or turn the volume down. If you want to keep your cell phone on to take pictures, that's fine, but if you need to make a call or have a conversation, kindly go out into the hallway. These meetings are taped and televised, and everything gets picked up on the microphone here, so it kind of creates a little interference. Before we come down from the, or before we get started, we have no awards tonight? Nobody? Okay.
I'll take an award if you have.
We're going to come down and give Marty something. Before we do that, though, Marty, we're going to go down the line. Mr. Napolitani, do you have a report for us?
Yeah, the Township of Ocean Italian American Association's annual festival will be held next Wednesday, August 8th through Sunday. It's a local event that's been going on for 42 years, so we hope that you get out there and enjoy yourself. And the second thing I'd like to say is thank you, Mike, for all your help the last week. I had a couple of residents that had some issues and called up Mike. Mike handled it extremely fast, so I want to thank you for that. Yeah, Mike.
Thank you. Donna, do you have anything for us?
No, I don't.
Rich, do you have anything, please?
Yes, I do, Mayor. As nearly everyone knows, the school tax portion of a municipal tax bill is the single biggest part of that bill. Here in Ocean, we happily support our strong award-winning school system. We are proud of our schools, its students, teachers, administrators, and support staff. But we are far from happy when it comes to the state of New Jersey's financial support of Ocean Township's school district. I want to make it abundantly clear that I am not, absolutely not, making a partisan political statement. On the contrary, I place the blame for Ocean's not receiving its fair share of state school funding squarely on the shoulders of members of both political parties. Both parties. The current school funding formula hurts numerous school districts, Ocean Township among them. Let me offer a startling fact. The Ocean Township School District received more in state school aid 10 years ago than it most recently received. 10 years ago. Let me offer another startling fact. For the coming school year, 2018-2019, our district was informed it would be receiving state school aid totaling $464,000 over what it received the previous year. That's nearly $500,000. That state aid increase was used by Ocean School Board and its business office to create Ocean's school district budget for this coming school year, 2018-2019. Now let me offer the last and most harmful, startling fact. At the beginning of last month, this past July, the Ocean Township School District was informed it would not be receiving that $464,000. In addition, the school budget would be cut by nearly 2%. That 2% equaled a cut of $143,000. adding the cut of $464,000 to the additional cut of $143,000 resulted in a state aid reduction of $607,000. That's an overall decrease of 7.51% to our state aid, which had already been approved by the Office of the County Superintendent. There are nearly 600 school districts in New Jersey. Within the top 20 districts receiving cuts by Trenton, Ocean Township ranked number 16. Think of that. In receiving cuts from Trenton, we here in Ocean ranked 16th in the state. By yesterday, Ocean had to cut its school budget by $607,000. Who will ultimately bear the brunt of these cuts? First, our students. Second, you, our taxpayers. Again, I am not making a partisan political statement. Both political parties must devise fair, structural changes to the methods used to raise state dollars for education and the methods used to allocate those state dollars. We in Ocean should not rank 16th in state cuts to education out of 600 school districts. We should not lose $607,000 to support our clearly superior schools. Those are startling facts, and those facts hurt our students and our taxpayers. That's my report, Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Rich. Rob, you have anything?
Mine will be a little shorter. We had a planning board meeting 2 weeks ago. We had one topic on the agenda, which was a now I forgot what the heck it was.
That starts to happen, Rob.
Yeah, I'm getting old. God, I don't write my stuff down like Rich does. I should. What do you call it when you split up a lot?
Subdividing.
And you're laughing at it. You could have helped me out. You were there. So the meeting, which we thought was going to probably take a half hour, took about 2.5 hours. Very interesting. We decided to postpone it, and we'll probably have a vote on it next month. So that was the extent of the planning board meeting. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mike.
Yes, tomorrow the Monmouth County Mosquito Commission will be spraying in Joe Playa Park approximately 7 to 9 a.m. They will be doing it by helicopter, so everyone knows it shouldn't take more than 10 minutes or so for it to be done, but we're going to restrict access until it's done, so you won't be able to get into the park. They will also be coming back again next Wednesday to spray again by a truck, and that'll be done between 4 and 6 in the morning.
Great. Thank you. Marty, anything?
Nothing, Mr. Mayor.
Nothing. I just want to remind folks, I think I mentioned this earlier, we're going to have a big event the end of August over at Bandshell Joe Playa Park. And this is a real fun one. It's the 40th anniversary of Grease, the movie. We're going to have live actors there to interact with the folks who are there enjoying themselves. They're going to come off stage. They'll be in costume. It's going to be a real fun event. There's going to be also an historical presentation before that by way of a film. So we're going to get the details out to you shortly. There'll be a little flyer out there, but it's going to be a lot of fun. Come on out there for the family, and everybody's going to enjoy this. It's free, of course. There'll be food trucks and plenty of entertainment. I'm going to tell you a really good time. I guarantee it. Okay. Tonight we have... All right, I'll go into my statement. The purpose of the public portion is to solely ask questions, to understand resolutions and vouchers that appear on agendas, not an occasion for the public to hear on an ordinance. All questions not related to an item on the agenda should be asked during the public comments portion at the conclusion of the meeting. Does anybody have anything, questions or comments as to our agenda there? Come on, resolutions, come on up to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. Well, Ed was making his way first, so.
Okay, Ed DeFilia, 1020 Raymer Ave, and I hopefully have a quick question. What happened on Brookside that there's 7 liens on the properties there for public health nuisance?
That one's being pulled. We have to straighten them all out.
Okay, just curious.
But yeah, there's some properties that probably were delinquent asunder from the ones that are in the demo area. So anyway, that's 18148 he's talking about. That one's off for tonight. Anybody else come up to the microphone and state your name and address for the record?
Peter Youngcomb, 610 Deal Road. I have a question on 18140. It says it's an agreement that you had with the dog grooming company on the corner of 35 and Deal Road, and that you're reducing your guarantee to 30%. What usually is the guarantee required?
Well,
So-
basically, there's a guarantee when they post bonds and cash, whatever the estimates are from the engineers in terms of what the cost is for the work they're going to do, the public improvements. And then after a certain amount of the work is done, if it's certainly greater than 70%, they're entitled to a reduction so that the amount they post is reduced to 30% of the original amount. And then the next thing would be the releasing of the entire amount.
The original amount was 70%.
Well, that's not an amount, that's a percent. I don't know what the dollar figure is.
They come up with a number, Peter, based on what they feel engineering costs if they had to go in and do something that they didn't do as per the resolution of approval, etc. And so they post that as a bond. Once the engineers and everybody's satisfied that that's been met, then they can reduce these as they go, and it's very common practice.
It's actually statutory.
There's reference to a bulk variance, a D1 use variance. What was that?
What
What number are you on?
18140.
That's the approval.
Oh, that was part of their approval from, this is the pet resort on Highway 35. It used to be the old Ocean Fitness Center. So they had a use change. That was part of their approval that happened, I guess a year or so ago.
Okay.
Actually, 2015.
Well, in the second.
Oh, okay, you're looking at the resolution.
Anyway.
If there's a developer agreement with the township, can I just go into Mr. Kirk's office and ask for a copy?
I presume, Marty?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if you have to do a Freedom of Information Act or they have a copy available. I really don't know how they handle it.
So an Oprah request in Kirk's office
I mean,
or
you
to
can go in and
video.
ask to look at the
Clerk,
file.
the clerk
If
will
you-
have it.
If you go in and ask
You
to
have
look
it.
at the file, you'll be able to look at the file, and in the file, they should have, whatever's there. If you want a copy of things, then
It's an Oprah request.
probably.
Okay. I was very happy to see you guys are supporting the plastic bag.
Of course, we're environmentally concerned and very aware here.
Oh, that's really wonderful. So I want to congratulate you on
Thank
being
you.
on the right side of that issue. What about
The law of
18?
averages catches up with us once in a while, Peter.
Yeah.
We will do.
Catches up with all of us. 18146, you're appointing somebody? I saw, who's that?
Yes, it's this young man with the white t-shirt on, Jack Mamie here, to the Environmental Commission.
That's really exciting.
Mhm.
How'd you find that guy?
He applied to our talent bank, and he showed an interest in being a member, and I asked him, look, you come around, you're interested? And it's my appointment, and I appointed him.
Good for you. So you didn't waste any time. Right? The previous...
No, I need to fill those positions. Not
Good.
a matter of, there's no mourning period, if that's what you're
Okay.
asking.
Well, no, I was just happy to see that you acted very quickly. Okay, so these questions are all, I have to stick to the ordinances, right?
That's,
Well,
no, not even
whatever
ordinance, just
resolution.
resolutions. right now.
Resolution.
Yep.
Okay, that's
All
it,
right.
thank you.
Anybody else on resolutions? Coming up to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. Seeing to hear no one. We have for minutes for approval, July 12th, 2018 workshop. Someone please offer.
I'll offer.
Second.
Second,
Deputy Mayor Chair.
Yes.
Council members Long.
Yes.
Napolitani.
Yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
And Mayor Sosiano.
Yes, and also we have resolutions 18-140 through 18-146. Someone please offer.
I'll offer.
Second.
second,
Deputy Mayor Chair.
Yes, I'll accept 18142 while I agree with the environmental concerns. Not a fan of taxing, so I'll vote no on that one.
Councilmember Long.
yes.
Napolitani.
Yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
And Mayor Sosiano.
Yes. Also for tonight, we have individual action vouchers in the amount of $1,549,072.06. Someone please offer.
I'll offer.
Second.
Second.
Deputy Mayor Chair.
Yes.
Council members Long.
Yes.
Napolitani.
Yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
And Mayor Sosiano.
Yes, and tonight we have resolutions 18147. Authorize the 2018 tax sale to be conducted electronically in accordance with NJSA 54:5-19.1. Someone please offer.
I'll offer.
Second.
Second.
Deputy Mayor Chair.
Yes.
Council members Long.
Yes.
Napolitani.
Yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
And Mayor Sosiano.
Yes, 18148 is off for tonight. 18149, authorize a fee of $25 per notice of inclusion in a tax sale. Someone please offer.
I'll offer.
Second.
Second.
Deputy Mayor Chair.
Yes.
Council members Long.
Yes.
Napolitani.
Yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
And Mayor Sosiano.
Yes, 18150, authorize professional service contract for a period of July 1st, 2018 through June 30, 2019 for A, Township Engineer Gregory Blash and firm Leon Esavakian, and B, Conflict Engineers T&M Associates, CME Associates, and Nagarian Associates. Someone please offer.
I'll offer.
Second.
Second.
Deputy Mayor Chair.
Yes.
Council members Long.
Yes.
Napolitani.
Yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
And Mayor Sosiano.
Yes, 18151, authorize the purchase of a telephone radio recorder from Wireless Communications Electronics, state contract A83891 at a cost not to exceed $44,439.85. Someone please offer.
I'll offer.
Second.
Second.
Deputy Mayor Chair.
Yes.
Council members Long.
Yes.
Napolitani.
Yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
And Mayor Sosiano.
Yes, 18152, authorize a rejection of request for proposal received for the engagement of an environmental resource inventory consultant and the reissuance of a new request for proposal. Someone please offer.
I'll offer.
Second.
Second.
Deputy Mayor Chair.
Yes.
Council members Long.
Yes.
Napolitani.
Yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
And Mayor Sosiano.
Yes, 18153, authorize the extension of the grace period for the receipt of third quarter taxes until August 17th, 2018. Someone please offer.
I'll offer.
Second.
Second.
Deputy Mayor Chair.
Yes.
Council members Long.
Yes.
Napolitani.
Yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
And Mayor Sosiano.
Yes, 18154, authorize the tax collector to issue refunds credits to those taxpayers who have received favorable state tax appeal judgments. Someone please offer.
I'll offer.
Second.
Second.
Deputy Mayor Chair.
Yes.
Council members Long.
Yes.
Napolitani.
Yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
And Mayor Sosiano.
Yes, and 18155, we're buying some equipment here. Authorize the purchase of the following equipment for the Department of Public Works. A 2019 Ford F-250 pickup truck. B, Toro 7210 Groundmaster and discharge mower. Toro 7200 Groundmaster mower with vacuum attachment, and Toro 5910D Groundmaster mower. C, 2019 International dump truck with snowplow and spreader, and D, International HB 513 rear loading packer. Someone please offer.
I'll offer.
Second.
Second.
Deputy Mayor Chair.
Yes.
Council members Long.
Yes.
Napolitani.
Yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
And Mayor Sosiano.
Yes, and 18156, request the Director of Division of Local Government Services approve the following change in title, text, or amount of appropriation pursuant to NJSA 40A:4-85 for the following: A, Monmouth County Grant Program, Ocean Township Historical Museum, amount of $3,000, and B, 1772 Foundation, Stutzeil Farms Cow Barn Grant, that's our little building way in the back there, for $14,000. Someone please offer.
I'll offer.
Second.
Second.
Deputy Mayor Chair.
Yes.
Council members Long.
Yes.
Napolitani.
Yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
And Mayor Sosiano.
Yes, it's for a really great cause to preserve those buildings that have been on there a long, long time. At this time, we're going to open up the floor to public comments. Anybody have anything germane to Ocean Township, please come up to the microphone and state your name and address for the record. Sir in the back, I see you. Come on up. Yeah, come down to Midway, that's fine.
They must have had a sale in the back row there for seats.
John Huss, Corley's Avenue, West Elmhurst. A lot of signs going up on houses. I notice, they've saved the 32 acres. I can understand, how the people feel. But the one thing you don't know, I stopped in my house in Wanamass. A lady was walking, and I said, "Do you realize how much it's going to cost?" She says, "Oh, I don't know. I don't think it's. How much is it going to cost?" I said, "Well, it might be nice if everybody knew how much it was going to cost." So I ran a few numbers out with the help, and numbers sound good. numbers don't sound good. The average cost for a homeowner assessed at the average of $477. The cost for the year is $239.57. So that doesn't sound like a bad number, I guess. The cost, if we're looking at I'm looking at a $110,000 rateable coming in at an annual, the financing on the thing, the financing on it, the revenue coming in will be $2,333,400, and that's every year. You know, not even the hereafter. That's even going after the hereafter.
You mean on a fully developed site that's
Fully
worth
developed
over
site.
100 million?
You said 110,000.
Yeah, you
I
meant
think
110 million. I'm sorry. All right. So we're looking at 2.3 million for the lifetime.
Mhm.
Right, which is a pretty nice number. You know, so it is going to cost a little bit, and we're going to get a lot if it came to that back. Now it's their choice. Myself, I can reach in and pay $239 a year. That's not going to cut me anything. But there's a lot of people, I don't think they want to see their taxes go up. And there's an awful lot of people like that lady. I said, if we're going to raise my taxes, oh, now I'm thinking about taking the sign down. Right? So, you know, that's basically where it is. The other thing is, I got this I'm wearing. And I got one for everybody.
Camera's up there.
Right, hi
I
there.
see it, yeah.
Hi,
Nice.
Tommy. Tommy, I have one for you, too. But I have the shirt for you guys.
Nice.
And the one thing I question is, and I'd like to see it happen, there's a shindig at Wegmans by the police. Maybe you
Yep.
know more about it,
Yeah.
when it is.
I know.
It's on Tuesday night.
Mhm.
This Tuesday
This
night,
coming up.
Night the 7th, I think it is. I
right?
think Tuesday's the 7th.
I think it'd be nice if we announced that you know, it's open for everybody, and
Yes.
it shows respect to the police department,
Sure.
right? That's
Yes.
all.
Good.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mr.
John.
Huss. Anybody else have anything germane to Ocean Township? Come on up to the microphone, state your name and address for the record.
Excuse me 1 second. That's called the Night Out with the police department,
Mhm.
and it's at Wegmans, and it's from 6 to 8 at p.m.
It's from 4 to 8.
4 to 8. I'm sorry, 4 to 8. I have 6 here for some reason. 4 to 8, and they have the motorcycle and ambulances and fire engines there, and there are a lot of give outs for children. And also, I think Wegmans usually gives out hot dogs
Yep,
and
there's a little grill
hamburgers
there.
and
Yes.
other stuff also. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to take
That's okay.
away. I just wanted to expand on that.
Thank you, Donna. Michelle.
Michelle Lee, 1404 Sunset Avenue. The traffic is terrible on Sunset to start with, and of course in the summertime it gets worse. It's really bad. Problem is almost no one pays any attention to the 35-mile-an-hour speed limit. So we need some help, we, meaning myself and my neighbors, we need some help from you. What can we do? Who do we talk to? There are no deterrents. And I know the cops are busy elsewhere and doing other things, and I work full-time, so I'm not there watching the street all day long. What can we do?
Well, I mentioned at a meeting, we discussed it, and it's probably something coming shortly, after January. Getting those electronic signs, you ever see them around now that post your speed, but they're permanent signs? Instead of just saying 35, it actually posts your speed. Gets my attention every time.
Yeah.
And I think they're relatively, reasonable cost-wise. So that's one thing we can do. Also, Mr. Michello will talk to Chief about, stepping up, having somebody around in the summer at least. So,
Yeah.
because it is a gateway to Asbury Park.
Oh, it's a
And so
it's a
folks
race
are
ride.
coming down off the highway and they are going into Asbury there
Yeah.
and back at night. So I live in that area too, so I see it
You
a
know,
lot. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really awful. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to bring that to your attention.
Good.
And thanks for the tax increase.
We didn't give you one. No,
You
no.
get a tax
You-
increase
wait.
from the municipal
You got the letter, right, Michelle?
Yeah.
We were 0.00. We were
I
like
know.
Blutarski's grade average in Animal House.
Yeah.
0.00.
I know.
Well, I just wanted to make
Tell
sure
my
you.
checkbook.
Yeah, no. The township had no municipal tax increase this year. The levy was static again.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It was unfortunate, I think, as Mr. Long had mentioned, some of the increases were due to the unfortunate situation with the school aid and whatnot. Anybody else have anything? Come on up to the. You have to come up. You need to come up to the microphone for. Because we're recorded. We're on camera and we're recorded. We can't.
Just wait till you get up here, give you your name and address, and then you can
We
talk.
can't hear you.
Because they can't record you if you're not there.
Tommy can't hear you when it's on.
540 Dow Avenue,
Okay.
Susie Schmidt. Did you say
Schmidt.
that there was no tax increase?
I say the municipal budget didn't increase this year at all, no. It was
Okay,
zero.
but, okay, so that doesn't translate into our taxes.
No, the
'Cause
overall taxes.
My taxes
You-
went up more than ever this year. $800 in 1 year. It's usually
Wow.
$50, $100. $800?
That's a lot.
It's crazy. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Is it the new school? Ew.
No. There's a
Is it
multiple.
the tennis center?
No, they're paying us. That was free, miss. They paid for that and they're paying us. So that didn't cost a nickel.
Then
So-
what was it?
I'm trying to tell you, but you.
Okay,
won't let
okay,
me.
I'm sorry.
Will you let me? Okay. So, I think as Mr. Long alluded to, the school, in the letter we sent out, had over a $2 million increase in their budget. That's a good part of it. The town had zero. The county had a $540,000 increase due to an open space tax, so that was a little bit more. And the only other thing that would have driven it up, maybe your value of your home went up. But the
Why would it?
municipality, our budget, we use the same amount of money this year as we did last year. It's a zero increase.
So it was from the school budget.
Well, school,
not-
I think the three I gave you, the school, county, and the
Most.
possibly an increase in your value of your property.
Yeah, you have to look at your assessment from the previous year to what it is assessed at
If you're not
now.
sure, call me tomorrow, I can look it up for you.
Look at the
I can
assessment,
absolutely
and
give it to you.
then, the other question is, if you think the assessment is too high, too high means you couldn't sell your house for that price, then that's an issue that you have, but.
And you
Fair
can appeal
enough.
that.
Okay. You're welcome, thank you. Anybody else?
Somebody know?
Peter, Young Gun, 610 Deal Road. I think one of the residents asked about the traffic on Sunset and the problem now. And your response was, you think in January you can put a permanent device up that says what your speed is. So there's nothing you can do now? Like, there's no
Today.
sense of urgency with the residents' request?
Yeah, no, I just said immediately we can have Mr. Musillo call the chief and we can increase traffic patrol there. That's protocol, that's what we'll do.
Nothing we can do about getting that sign up during
Well,
the
we'd
summer?
have to, it's not a matter of just going, putting it up and have Public Works put one up. We have to order them, we have to bid them out. It's a process, that's why I said January, just to under-promise and over-deliver. If we get it up earlier, then you'll be very happy.
Have I seen like a mobile one around town?
We have a mobile one, yep, and we put it up at request. The problem is, people usually don't like it right in front of their house because it's on a trailer and whatnot. But we do have that, and she's welcome to call up and have that one installed as well. Michelle is.
Maybe you want to request that. And if you don't, maybe I'll request it because I have the same problem on Deal Road.
You're only here 2 days.
Okay, my next question, you mentioned open space tax.
Mm-hmm.
There was a referendum in November,
Right.
and there's going to be some next steps on adopting that.
There will be.
Do you have any timeline that you're kind of thinking of? Giving it some thought?
We're giving it some thought. I can't give you a timeline yet. There's some issues with it that I wanted to see how that would work out. The one main issue I have with the open space tax is it's permanent. It doesn't go away. And there's no way...
It's like a lot of taxes.
No, understood, but it's something that we have to think about what's left in town, what we'll do with it. You can't identify any one piece of property, as you know. I tried that in 2005 and it didn't work. But so that's one of the concerns, is see what comes up available, and then we have it ready to go. We can punch an ordinance right through and have it adopted immediately. It's all written up.
So it's going to happen in 2018, or because of
Maybe.
your questions, it could be kicked down the road to 2019 or 2020?
Maybe. We'll see. We don't have a definite answer on it today.
Now, do you think if the township residents voted on it in 2018, that we should maybe do something about it in the following year?
Yeah, we could. We probably will. I just don't know what date, Peter.
So how do we kind of force you to kind of resolve
You
your
don't force
questions and
anybody
make
to
it
do
happen a
anything.
little sooner than later?
You don't have to force us to do anything, Peter. I think we're very compliant up here. And I think we do a lot without being forced to do anything, so.
How do we make it seem more urgent to have it done in 2019?
You don't have to make it more urgent. I have the results of the vote. Again, I'm just saying, I think folks have to understand that it's a permanent tax, and it goes into place, and, you know, I just want to see what the backdoor outlet is, so maybe it's a 5-year or 7-year, so we're looking into that, but I don't think Mr. Masillo had any luck finding any way to end it, right?
Right, it was voted for. Everybody
All right,
understood.
well, thank you. We'll discuss when we can put it into place for you. How's that?
Okay.
Great.
Not
That's
completely
easy.
satisfied
Easy.
with that answer, but okay. Mr. Haas mentioned a lot of financial information about you know, what he sees as a substantial benefit to the development on the corner. And I'm just wondering, you know, is that just independent information? Like, what's he basing
It
that
would be
on?
better if you directed your questions to the mayor and council and not to a person who spoke during the course of the meeting. So rather than ask a question of a person who came to the microphone as you just did yourself, it would be better if you asked a member of the council or the mayor, the attorney or the manager, but you're not going to have a debate with somebody that spoke at the microphone. That's not going to happen tonight.
Thank you for
All right, so your
pointing
question
me out. So I have to rephrase that to you.
I understand the question. So his numbers were just based on his own calculations.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So you see a substantial benefit? I mean, you would agree with
I
it, or
didn't. No, he spoke. I didn't
Okay.
say anything. I
Okay.
think I said on the record numerous times that I would prefer to see nothing built on that site. I think I'm on the record. I'm in the newspaper saying it. In fact, there'd be no saved of the 32 acres if I didn't save it the first time. I think you know that, right?
well, that wasn't my question. My question
No,
was
but
really
that's-
about
but-
the cost
No,
associated.
your question was,
and
do
why
I
the
think?
costs
No,
were-
no. You wanted to know if I thought it was a benefit to have that built there.
Cost-wise.
And I wanted you to understand where my position personally. Professionally, cost-wise, of course, it'd be a benefit for the town financially. But personally, like I said number of times, I prefer to see it green.
Are we at all concerned on the council that there be other costs that would be negatively impacting that development? Are we going to need more police, more fire, you know, air quality that's going to affect township residents? Have we seen any
We have
negative cost impact to that?
Not really. We have patrol regularly up and down the highway and up and down that corridor. Whether there's something built there or not, be part of their route, I'm sure.
Okay.
You know, if the time comes where they have an evaluation that they need to add more police, we've added 3 more in 2 years since we've been on council.
Okay. I was looking again back at the bike and pedestrian plan on the township website, which is really a wonderful document. And it also had some timeline for doing certain things. And I was wondering whether you have like a checklist and you could say as you adopted that, like, you know, in 2011 we did this, in 2012, or are we like 50% through implementing that? 75%?
I don't think we're 50% through it yet. Our next project would be Monmouth Road, and then probably connecting that to Corlees Avenue to Wickapeco. That's our next step, which is probably coming up on the next road cycle.
Is that again this year?
Well, no, it'll be in the 2018 plan for 2019 improvement.
So we're not doing anything this
Won't be
summer
anything this fall,
in the
no.
bike and
No,
pedestrian
we're paving.
plan?
We're doing a lot of paving over there, from Izell Avenue to, I think Jeffrey, and then other parts of town, Well Pond Road and some other areas. So next year's the whole section. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then is there a point in time where we're kind of complete with that? We've achieved 100% with the bike and pedestrian
No,
plan
that's the
was?
goal. Yeah, that's
Could take another 5 or 10 years?
good. I hope not, but it could.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Come up to the microphone, state your name and address for the record.
Jackie Wenzel, 610 Dale Road. Before I get into my my planned questions. I just had some questions on how the meeting started. One of them is about us having mosquito spray from helicopter tomorrow. I mean, I live across the street from the park, and I have my dog in the yard sometimes. And just in terms of all of us breathing, does that seem safe?
Yeah, what the Mosquito Commission told us, I'll tell you exactly what they're using. And the helicopter is going to be spraying, it's called Vectobac. It's a naturally occurring bacteria which targets mosquito larvae. This is something they've done previous years in the past. And on the 8th, they're going to be spraying again with something called Xenovex, which is found in pet flea collars. And I have 30
But it's going to be in the air for us breathing?
No, it's the ones from helicopter are
Right.
granules that'll just land. The other one on the truck is a spray, and that's going to be done 4 to 6 a.m. and it'll be blocked off then also. And that is to kill any flying mosquitoes.
Will also kill ticks.
I can't tell you for sure, but I would hope so.
It just seems kind of. We laughed when we were kids. There used to be trucks that went around and emitted all the smoke, and we all ran through it. You know.
Absolutely.
Obviously, it seemed like that was so crazy back then. So the idea that it's going to be floating in the air doesn't seem really environmentally good for our breathing.
But they do it all through the county now. This is just a targeted spray.
Okay. And I guess the other thing I wanted to ask, all right, so it's being done. There's no way we can find out the impact on that, health-wise?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
can
I
call
have the
Monmouth
press
County.
release,
Okay.
and I could also ask the Mosquito Commission for any kind of any other information they have,
Yeah.
and I'll provide it to you.
Okay. I guess for all of us living here, it might be nice to maybe, if there are other alternatives, or because we are going to be breathing this, and there's been all these concerns about, you know, as we've been going around and putting up signs and people engaging much more than we've been able to engage with the public before. And many people don't come here because they watch the meetings at home, which is from the comfort of their home. But they
Something
do.
else we implemented.
I do, yeah. Which it's.
Yeah, I
it's
think we have
been-
an 18 cheer.
Yeah. But anyway, so it's been helpful. So even though we don't see the numbers here, I do get to have a lot of conversations with people, and often they feel they're left out of decisions like that. You know, a decision like that is something, you have your kids playing in the yard, you might not want them out in the yard tomorrow morning. So if they're not here, and I don't know when they get to listen to
No,
this
I think-
meeting now, how soon?
Well, Jackie, I believe that was a Nixle also.
Yes.
So everybody, I encourage everybody to sign up for it. It's free. It's Nixle, and you'll get all happenings in town, what's going to happen like that. So the police will send out a Nixle letting you know, so you can accommodate your pets if you have any outside, not to leave them out that morning. Also, the county's website has a frequently asked questions, and if you go to the Health Commission on that one, and the Mosquito Commission, they'll be more than happy to answer those questions. Most of what you're asking is probably...
But it's already going to have happened.
Because it happens all the time, frequently. So most of those
Yes.
questions have been asked. But you can call them tomorrow and they'll assuage your concerns, I'm sure. Or maybe not. I don't know.
Okay, and then just about the school and our taxes.
Mm-hmm.
So what exactly is going to happen? Are
They had to
Are you
amend their
letting
budget.
teachers go? What do we do?
Well,
I mean,
we're not
what's-
we're not the school board. That's a whole nother board.
The
But
plans that they had for the money that they thought they were originally receiving in state aid, those plans had to be dissolved. And the school districts were told they could not go to the taxpayers to make up any shortfalls. Now, if you look at the information that's provided by the State Department of Education, you can see, and this is why I call for a better mechanism to come up with the money and a better mechanism to allocate the money, because Ocean Township ranked among the top 20 getting cut. There were numerous districts that did not get any type of cut in their state aid, and in fact there were boards of education that received increases. And it's my opinion that it's a very arbitrary and capricious manner in which they raise the money and allocate the money. So Ocean Township had to cut its budget in excess of $600,000. Now, they had definite plans to use those funds. Those funds could not be gained from the state, so those plans could not be implemented.
So what can we do? Who on the council or here in town can go and fight for that? I mean, who's in charge of that?
Right, your assembly and your senators.
Right.
It's,
But is there no one on the council that?
It's Board of Ed.
it's Board of Ed and
Board
it's
of
a
Ed.
state budget. It's,
Yeah, we don't control the Board of Education budget, we don't control the monies they get from the state, we don't make those applications. But the Board of Education meets once a month.
Oh, no.
no, they meet
Three or
once a
four
week.
times
They're on the Board of
They
Ed.
meet once a week.
They meet a lot, so you can go to a Board of Ed meeting and ask them
A lot.
what, what can be done and what, how can the citizens help.
So they'll listen to us, but you don't. It's not protocol, correct, for any of you to go and fight for
I made a
it.
public statement tonight because I don't think some people are aware of what occurred.
Right.
So I made that public statement tonight. One of the problems that we have with the lack of local coverage of governments throughout the state of New Jersey because of the decline of daily newspapers, you could see tonight that we don't even have a representative, I don't think, from a regular, quote, newspaper, even one that publishes once a week. There's nobody here.
No offense, John.
We're not, I'm not against the media. I love the media. Okay, that's not my point. But my point is, the word does not always get out. So I felt it was incumbent upon me to let the citizens of Ocean Township know this, as to some type of protest, which you are alluding to. We're all citizens of the state of New Jersey. All we have to do is write to our elected officials and tell them that the way they devise a plan to collect money in order to provide money to school districts, that methodology as well as the methodology behind the allocation, those two things are faulty and they're arbitrary and they're capricious and they're just not right. And Ocean Township shouldn't be among the top 20 districts that receive cuts in state aid. That's absolutely wrong. I'm not going to talk about other districts. This is all available information on the Department of Ed website. It's not something that I invented.
But this affects all of our.
Accurate.
But to answer your question, when that cut announcement came out, when they ratified the budget, is really what started it all.
Right.
We let them know. I mean,
Right.
myself, let our legislators and governor, we were not treated fairly there. So, well, it was part of a budget deal. That was our answer.
So that's why we're paying higher taxes to meet that cut.
No, that's not really true.
No, they had a higher tax increase, so.
They increased the taxes to run the school system for the next school year. That was an increase on their part. If you looked at the previous year, their increase was zero.
So you didn't have
Zero.
you didn't have a school funding increase last year. They planned on increasing the taxes this year. Then they found out that they lost $700,000. They couldn't tax you for that difference, so they had to make cuts.
They tax you for
They tax
some,
you for
not
the
all.
right. They taxed you prior to that cut, so they were going to make an increase anyway.
So do you know where that extra money's going? Is
There
it going
no
on
extra
more?
money. They lost
Teachers-
$700,000.
So what does it
They
go
cut it out of
towards
the state
paying?
Other
budget.
districts received the money that would have gone to Ocean Township.
That's what you're asking. Yes.
Other districts picked up the money. We weren't the only ones to receive cuts. Asbury Park, where Councilman
$1
Nat
million
Latani,
in Asbury Park.
I mean, they got a cut.
So the extra money we're paying is just going to run the school as usual.
Well, when you say extra money, again,
Well, our taxes went up. It said specifically for the school.
For school purposes, you
Correct.
had a tax
Yes.
increase. Yes,
Yes.
that's what the Board of Ed did. They voted upon that and they increased
again,
the
that was
taxes.
before the cut. So
That
that
was
Okay.
before any cut. And the previous year, their increase in their budget was zero.
But do we know what our extra money is going on? Do I keep asking? Is it not
Saying the
being
same
clear?
thing.
I know.
It ends up there is no extra money because whatever they increased by, apparently we got cut 700,000, so they don't really have extra money.
So it's going towards teacher salaries and just
Going towards
the
everything.
rent and.
so 80
Salaries and benefits, that's
80
80%
plus
of the budget.
percent goes to salaries, benefits, and what else? And salary, benefits, and
That's it.
salaries and
Well, I mean,
benefits.
So if you go to the Board of Education, do you get to see that breakdown? Because I see
Right,
here
right,
how
right.
your
Right.
budget, we get to see what
Yes,
that
right.
is.
Budget.
Budget on the website.
Right on
Yours
the
is
website.
online as well.
Before I made my statement tonight, I had a personal meeting with the school business administrator, Kenneth Janarone. He's a very knowledgeable guy. I wanted to make sure that what I was going to say was absolutely 100% accurate.
Mhm.
What I said tonight is absolutely 100% accurate. The state of New Jersey does a very poor job financing the 600 school districts that it oversees in this state. They do a very poor job of it. It's very inadequate. It's very inefficient. It's very arbitrary. It's very capricious. Certain districts, if I told you, which I'm not going to get into a debate about what districts deserve more money than others and everything else. I'm not going to get into that debate. But I will tell you this. There are districts that are a lot wealthier than the Township of Ocean that didn't get cut 1 cent in state funds. Not 1 cent. And they're a lot wealthier. But you can't ask me that question. I don't know the answer to that question.
Politics.
Mm-hmm.
All right, excuse me.
Well, hold on.
Excuse me. First of all, we can't have people shouting out questions from there. When you get it,
Come on up to the microphone,
chance
state your
to
name and
talk,
address for the
come up
record.
and speak. But secondly, as we've said before, this is not the Board of Education, so the Board of Education deals with that issue.
So
Name and
Name and
address.
I'll tell you that, Marty. Okay.
Name and address,
Leonard
sir.
Pekarsky, 2 Old Orchard Lane, Ocean, New Jersey. I just want to
Mr.
understand,
Pekarsky.
what is the future of our taxes in Ocean Township going forward? We know we have to pay more taxes. We get everything that you said. How can you sustain an $800 raise for this lady, or mine went up $800 in 2 years, which is 12% of my taxes? I just want to know, going forward in the next year, is it going to be like this every single year?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking all of you.
Well,
What you think?
our goal, Len, is to do what
We voted for you to help us
And we
as
did.
citizens
Lenny.
to do this.
I'm going to answer you
For our
right now.
taxes, right? You
Let-
run on no more taxes.
The increase.
So I
at
just
the
want to know
muni-
what you're going to do
Okay,
for us.
Len, is your name Len?
Yeah.
Yeah, the increase by this group, the mayor and council,
Uh-huh.
the increase was 0. It was 0. That
So
doesn't
the
mean your
Board of
taxes
Ed
don't
raised
go
our
up.
taxes,
Excuse
right?
me, Len. If you ask something, I don't know if you were finished. Were you finished?
Finished, Mark.
Okay, go ahead.
So the Board of Ed is the reason that our taxes went up because
The
of the
mayor-
state
No, I think
taking
on.
it
The
$2
mayor
million.
I gave it a
Three
3-point
He gave you
reason.
3. Go ahead.
So what is the future of our taxes looking like the next 2 or 3 years?
We're hoping here, that's our goal, is always to try to deliver a zero-base budget. That's always our
But
goal.
does it look like the state's going to give us more of a cut, so next year it'll be another 5%?
Well, we the
increase?
the township, we haven't got any state increase in a long time, so, no, we
You
try
must
to.
have an idea, though,
Yeah,
right?
no, Len, we work around that, our portion, our 20% of your tax bill, we work around, we know the state's not to give us any more. So we anticipate that, and so we try to be fiscally responsible and prudent about our
Okay.
budget and keep it as tight as possible while delivering more services. That's
But
what
I'm
we're
not even
trying to
talking
do.
about me. I'm talking about people who are in their 70s and 80s
Yeah.
who live, hand to mouth. How can they sustain a 5 or 6% increase every single
I
year
don't know.
going forward?
Yeah, well,
There's
again,
not going to be anybody living in Ocean
municipality-wise,
Township like
we
us
try
anymore.
not to, well,
Len, do you understand with all due respect, do you
Yeah.
understand the difference between municipality and the school board?
Not really.
Okay, so
Okay.
in a quick second, as
Go
Mr.
ahead.
Long said, our municipal tax, 0 increase.
I got that.
Okay, so this council
Right?
provided a 0 increase.
that's what we're responsible for, is that portion of your
that's
budget.
all
So
we
what
can
happens
control.
next year when you can't do that for a 0 increase?
Correct.
That'll go up even more, right?
Well, anything above 0 was more, so I mean, I don't want to say
Exactly.
even
but
more,
you can't
but
keep it at 0 increase every year, right?
it's very difficult, yes.
Exactly. And
But
the other
as
thing
the
I just
mayor
want to
said,
say
hold on.
Go ahead.
As the mayor said, that is ultimately our goal every year. We start the budget cycle off looking to be a 0% increase. That's our goal.
The other
It doesn't
thing-
always
okay,
happen,
I
but
get
we
it.
try.
The other thing I don't understand, you can explain this to me, is all right. You told the woman that she and us, basically, I thought this is what you said, that we should write our assemblyman and our congressman and everything, okay? But as a councilman and as a mayor, don't you fight for our rights? Isn't there something you can do or the Board of Ed can do to try to get the money?
That's what the
Yeah.
mayor
Yeah.
said.
Yeah,
We've-
we personally called our legislators and governor.
And what
let 'em-
happened?
And they told us it was all budgetary, we'll get you next time, they
But
give you
can't we
that.
do something legally if, as Mr. Long said, that some of these districts are wealthier than us and they didn't get a tax cut, but we got
Yeah,
a tax?
you
we
need,
got the money cut
Len,
from us?
absolutely. Legally, you need a
Right.
body of 80 assembly people and 40 senators that are in the state house to agree on redoing the school funding
I
formula.
mean, is there anything we can do legally as Ocean
Ocean
Township to
Township,
fight
yeah,
this,
we
or not?
can sign a resolution saying we're very upset about it. But what can you really do?
I don't know. That's why
So-
we're
yeah,
asking
So
you.
technically,
It's the state.
Because I trust you guys. I
Yeah.
voted for you.
And we're doing
We all
it.
voted
We're
for
doing
you.
it, my
listen,
friend.
Not everybody. But the
No,
state,
that's
it's a-
true. Not everybody.
It's a state
But you're
budget.
there.
Very
It's a
honest.
state budget, and the state which is run by the Assembly and the Senate
And the governor.
and the governor.
Okay.
They set the budget, just like this council sets the budget for the town. So just to understand, when you get your bill, your tax bill, there's part of it that is the municipality, there's part of it that's the school board, there's
Gotcha.
part of it that's the county, and then there's another part that's the fire district.
Okay.
So those are the four parts of your tax bill. The only part these people control is the municipality's budget. They don't control the Board of Ed, and they don't control the fire district, and they don't control the county. So when they say their increase was 0, that means you didn't get increased based on that. That does not mean, however, that if your house was assessed at $300,000 one year, and then they did a reassessment and it was assessed at a higher amount, that you might not get an increase. Because when they do that, some properties get an increase in taxes, other properties get a decrease in taxes.
Listen,
That's
I
based on
love living in
valuation.
Ocean Township, and I appreciate everything you're doing. All I'm saying is, and what I'm sure you will, you got to fight for people who
Absolutely.
live here, because what are we going to do about it?
Right.
Everybody where I live is sitting there complaining their heads off, but they're not here. But they don't understand things are floating around, why it's this and that. We get it. But, you know, when we vote for you, I just want you to, whatever you're doing, I just want to be assured that you're going to try to help
We're
us.
working for you, Lynn.
Because we can't do this
I got
every
you.
year, not 5-6%.
No.
And I don't mind paying taxes. We have to pay taxes.
We don't want that to happen.
And as Mr. Long always reminds us, we live here too. So whatever happens to
Well,
you,
Mr. Long sounds angry,
And he's
like
al-
I am. So I don't know why.
And he's almost 70.
Speaking
I'm
voice.
angry at the
That's
state
great,
of New
though.
Jersey.
Take it out on the state.
I
not,
am
you know,
angry at the
please
state of
do
New
that for
Jersey.
us, okay?
I am angry. at
Thank
the
you,
state.
Len. Thank you very much. I think Mr. Huss was coming up. I think he
Well,
interrupted
actually,
him.
I don't think
I
that
was.
did.
did you yield your
You're
time?
not finished.
Oh,
No,
She may have yielded her time.
I'm sorry you had this floor.
He's got a street named after him. Sit down.
No. Jackie may one day.
Yeah, wait till they change Runyon Avenue. Len, the way you control is ratables. You bring in ratables.
There he goes.
All right? What's wrong with that? That's the only way you can
It is a
control
mechanism.
taxes is ratables. You got a whole new group of people coming into this town, and they're all adding on their houses and making their houses bigger. That's great.
Added
That's no
assessment.
problem. That's new ratables. You know, that's great.
Right.
But if you want to, you know, or you can get us a couple other ratables. Or you can spend the $250 a year out of your taxes, or you can bring in $2,000 a year. Whatever you want to do.
Right.
You're 6 of one, half of the other. The only
That's
thing I'm going to give you a far-fetched. We got 32 acres. We got a very liberal society. Progressive is a word I can't handle. I'm looking at a very extremely liberal governor, and I'm looking at open borders. And where are we going to put all these people? And if they come down and this guy says, I got a little spot of 32 acres in Ocean Township where I can build 400 little units, don't you think it couldn't happen? And I guarantee it could very well happen.
I've seen it happen. Thank you, Mr. Huss.
Thanks, John.
I'm going to get down, and then I'll go back up. But
Really?
Mr. House had said,
You know you're coming back up?
just to bring up what Peter had touched on, the numbers that he was talking about ratables. He's just making that up in his head.
Well, he's in the ballpark. The man was a councilman. He's done budgets, municipal budget, and he understands what he's trying to say is ratables do help stabilize.
Right.
It doesn't lower taxes because who we kidding? We have salary increases too, and insurance increases, et cetera, and other budget constraints. However, the man's 100% correct that ratables do help stabilize.
Ratables,
taxes.
but the numbers he's throwing around for the audience that's watching this,
Not too far off.
he's making them up.
He's not really. His factors are right. The factor of the 2.2 per 100 is absolutely correct. So if you had a $100 million piece of property, 2.2 million in taxes a year coming into the town would absolutely happen.
Will they go towards the school system?
1.6 would go to the school and it'd probably ameliorate that problem, and then we would get our 50 cents on the dollar there.
And what about the 71 townhouses and their children? Will they
That
bring
whole
up
thing,
the
whole
taxes again?
package is what he's talking about. He threw a number out there in that whole package. About, like, say,
Yeah, but when people throw out a number, people hear it, so it's not an accurate number. I think we
Pretty
should
close.
get an accurate
I'm
number
going to
on
tell you
that.
what. All right, so let's
Okay.
do it. 72 townhomes valued at a minimum of 500,000 is 35 million without doing the center, and that's without the hotel, and that's without the other pieces to the puzzle. So no, the man is not far off.
Well, there are other
Actually,
ways
pretty
perhaps
good.
we can
I
get.
must have really done the
Also,
number.
if they have a hotel, there's also a hotel tax.
Yeah, so
That would also
it's
get the benefit.
that
Well,
gift
there
keeps on
are.
giving.
I think they're all great ideas, and I think that maybe where Sears is and all those other developments that are going out, things like that should be built.
Let me ask you,
I
Jackie,
agree with you.
Let me ask you this: do you think this guy should abandon this and go to Sears
Yeah.
because that's empty?
Well, I'll tell you what. Okay.
Just tell me what. I'm trying to follow the logic. People say all
I'll
the
tell you-
abandoned buildings, you should go there. That's like telling you can't buy a house you like because we have some foreclosures, and you have to buy that empty one first.
I want to get to
can't
the
tell you to do that.
logics too, because
You buy whatever you want.
You continue to say that you'd like to keep it open space. You continue to say you kept it green. You kept the 32
did.
acres. You know, we've been doing a lot of looking into the master plan and looking into township's history. And the truth is, at least what we see in the township's history is okay, I look at the master plan. It says Ocean Township is into values historic preservation. At the very same time that someone nominated that land, including the house, for to be in the National Registry of Historic Places. At the very same time it was found eligible is the very same period that our old mayor put an overlay zone. And that overlay zone went through the planning board. And if I'm correct in what I read, you were on that planning board at that time. So you approved the overlay zone that allowed that to become vulnerable today.
Right.
So how would that have...
understand something.
Chris,
Go ahead.
wait a second. We're involved in a litigation.
Right.
The court has dismissed the litigation, but from what I read, there's going to be an appeal. We're dealing with issues that may very well be involved in that litigation. So my advice would be not to respond to this because it's part of the litigation. We've dealt with the issue of the master plan. I don't think we should be, from the council's perspective, responding.
So can someone on the council explain why, when we were found eligible to be in the National Registry of Historic Places in a township that values historic preservation, why that would have been a good time to move the house? And put the overlay zone, which now all that land with archaeological richness of Native American Indians will be destroyed. The house value was destroyed when it was moved and made into a public museum, which benefited the town in some ways. But I would have preferred to have a national landmark on our corner, something that is in the National Registry of Historic Places. It's something I would have been proud of. And when you read the master plan, it also says that our township stands for that. So I don't understand how that could have happened. Can anyone explain that?
We're not going to explain it. You've already filed a lawsuit. Part of that lawsuit deals with the issue of what the master plan says, what was in it. It really doesn't pay to respond here to you.
Can you explain why we haven't had a new master plan since 1990 drafted?
As you also know, that's incorrect, but we're not going to deal with it here. We've had a re-examination of the master plan that's been set forth in the papers. You've seen the papers. You're a party to the lawsuit. There's no reason to respond.
Well, people ask me questions and I can't answer on your behalf, so maybe you can explain what exactly is all the resolution, all of the changes on the master plan. Why is that considered substantial to being the master plan?
That is the entire basis of your litigation, dealing with the substantial changes, whether it's substantial or not, whether it's consistent with the master plan. I don't intend to comment to your questions here when you're suing the town.
Okay, that's all on that.
Thank you. Next. Jack, name and address for the record.
Jack Mamie, Maplewood Avenue in Oakhurst. First, I'd like to thank the council for my appointment to the Environmental Commission.
You're welcome.
I got to run upstairs right after this. Just wanted to let everyone know, as far as the school funding, the offices for your state senator Vin Gopal and assembly people Joanne Downey and Eric Utelling are right on West Park Avenue, 802 West Park Avenue, suite number 221.
There you go.
Everyone should march in there and fight for more fair funding, especially if what Mr. Long said about wealthier districts getting more money or not getting cut.
Right. It's a sin.
It's egregious.
Right.
And there are a lot of politics in the State House that I don't agree with.
I think that has something to do with it.
One other thing I wanted to mention that I forgot to tell you about in the workshop was I have a friend of mine who's a professional mason. He does a lot of contracting work. And he said if you repave roadways Instead of going down 4 inches, if you do 8 inches of asphalt or more, it actually makes the roads last
Twice as long?
3 or 4 times longer. And he said like out in like North Dakota and like Wyoming and Idaho,
where they can do that, they do it.
And he said like their roads there have been there for like 20, 30 years and they're impeccable.
Right. We have a 20. Just for the record, we have a 20-year roads program. They're engineered that way.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Jack, very much. You're about to get up to your meeting.
Yeah.
Next.
Hi there. Alan Yampolsky, 61 Dwight Drive. First of all, I have to ask, I missed the first moments of the meeting. You guys are dressed in uniform, and he's the referee. What is that? Everybody's wearing the same?
It's our summer attire.
But do you really? What is that?
This is our township shirts.
Oh.
And it's
okay.
summertime, and it's hot for the guys, and Mr. Musel and...
Okay. No, I didn't, when I was sitting there, I couldn't see the emblem.
Yeah.
So it just looked like you were all wearing the same Sears and Roebuck jockey shirt.
Thank you. Well, we're on a tight budget here.
Okay. Here you go. I think there's a question of taste in the decisions that are made for the town. Can everybody hear me?
No, talking to the
Nope.
microphone.
I think there's a question of taste in the decisions that are made for the town. Concerns me a great deal. In the past few years, I've been living on, in the past 8 years, I've been living on Dwight Drive. And it seems like Dwight Drive is in the middle of the town and in the middle of the geography of the town. I used to live on South Wanamassa Drive at the bottom of Garvin. I was very sequestered there, it seems. The whole thing with the shop and stop was going on. I knew nothing about it. But in addition to that, I knew nothing about all the other developments that were planned during that time and have come to fruition at this moment. It almost seems that the mayoral moment is the moment of development here in Ocean Township. This administration.
We get the blame, absolutely.
We have Hope Road, we have English Manor, we have West Park, we have, is it Cindy Lane? We have the indoor tennis court, and we have the diminishment of the tree canopy. All in these quick, short years. 4 years?
3.
3. Are you proud of that?
No.
Kidding. I'm not adversarial. No.
I know you're not
I'm not asking
adversarial.
a question. I want to say something.
You
I
say
really
something,
want to get to
then
what I
I'm going
want
to
to
make a
say.
statement when you're
It's a
done.
question of taste as well.
Yeah.
All of these developments, I told you, I lived on South Wanamassa Drive in Wanamassa, and I loved every minute of it. I never would have moved. I had a disagreement with too many of the neighbors about how to be quiet, and I moved. I would have never left there, was not my intention, and I would have been sequestered. I probably wouldn't know anything about 32 acres, because I didn't know about Shop and Stop. You guys, Wanamassa was built in the 1940s, and the houses are like 25 feet from each other. But the houses are small. They're like Monopoly board houses, and I love them. I also own 2 other houses in Wanamassa that are in the Monopoly board section, and I own I own the smallest, worst house, I'm on record, in West Allenhurst, which has turned out to be now a boom. I can't wait. I'm paying a lot of taxes in town, and I have my house on Dwight Drive. But in Wanamassa, the houses are small, and they're tight. In that Hope Road, and the English Manor, and West Park, even West Park okay, West Park is a senior development. They seem to have carte blanche to do whatever they want. My point is, these larger homes, larger in some cases than my house, and everybody knows the Dwight Drive houses. They're those cookie cutter colonials from the 60s. Stop it. You
Right,
always
but
say
I
that,
did.
but you're not there anymore, so
But I lived
you
there.
don't get points.
For a point of reference, I lived there. I understand what you're talking about.
They're 100 feet apart, 80 feet apart. You guys are approving or going along with putting these large homes 30 feet apart. It feels like, do you all live in Ocean Township?
We have to.
We have to.
Do you It's hard to believe, honestly.
It's a matter of
The
understanding.
houses
You
on
don't
West Park,
understand
the houses on
the zoning.
West, but why is the
There's
zoning
R1,
like
R2,
that?
R3, R4, R5, R6. How many homes per acre? 6 per acre is R6. One a massive.
But how big is that home?
And they
Can
have
you
a-
go back to the cookie
Yeah,
cutter?
no, absolutely, no. There's a standard, Alan. So the planning board has a standard: 27% coverage. You have to have 10-foot setback, 15,
You
30,
guys,
40.
when you look at what
I'm
went
trying
on,
to.
no, you guys have
Go
your
ahead.
say all the time. I just want to
Go
tell
ahead.
you how I feel.
Go ahead.
Taxpayer, 5 or 6 times over in this town. You're approving houses that are too big to be so close. It's the urbanization and the Brooklynization of this township. And we don't like it. We don't like it. It's ugly, it's unattractive, it's without taste, any kind of architecture, any kind of low-end design, as long as it's a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath, tighter the better, jam it in, is approved. And I don't have, I'm ashamed of you, what you've done. And I'm angry. And I'm not even talking about the 32 acres where you hope to allow connected homes east of Route 35. Forget about the horror of that hotel and the Wawa, which, as you've heard me say before, Wawa is Deal Road crying. Forget about that. But I haven't. Connected homes on east of Route 35 is the opening of a nightmare. I don't want to talk about that, though. I want to talk about taste. And other towns very close to us have rules and regulations, and they have design committees, and you guys are not the right guys to be doing that, and obviously the planning board are not the right guys with Mr. Higgins' daughter, are not the right guys. Isn't that a song from the 60s? Not the right guys. You need to get some people who get it. You say you live here, you drive by that Hope development, it brings tears to my eyes, that Hope Road development. And the Toll Brothers, forget that they stripped 50 acres at a shot, or is it 30 and they left 20, so thank God. Just stripped it to build those homes that now, as you see them go up, are tasteless, monopoly board homes, but they're tall and they're close. And how this happens is unbelievable. In a time when the world is worried about ecological matters, instead of saying now Ocean Township is the land of gracious living and you get a half acre and you build a beautiful home on the lot on 35 and Deal or on West Park, you just built garbage 30 feet apart, one driveway width, and it's the Brooklynization of Ocean Township, and I resent it. Thank you.
Thank you. So, let me explain some of what you're. Thank you. Thank you. You're rude. You can't be more rude than that. I don't know who brought that guy up. Anyway, so people don't leave with the wrong impression or wrong idea. The developments that gentleman was mentioning, or 4 of them were part of a 2009 COA, Coalition on Affordable Housing lawsuit that was left us to handle. It was already on the tarmac, already up and running. We didn't come in and say, let's start building all these homes, folks. Not what happened. Not what we wanted at all. Those homes up on Martelli development, that was part of a 2009 lawsuit. The Toll Brothers, 2009 lawsuit. All the ones on West Park Avenue, all emanated from that time. The one he mentioned by English Manor was approved in 2001. They just started to build them now. That approval was there a long time.
Cindy Lane?
Cindy Lane was part of it 2009. In 2009, we got hit with 4 COA lawsuits, our attorney will tell you, and those were all part of that. So not like we embraced it, we had to deal with it. Think about what we were left on our plate. We had to deal with that. Now you get the blame from somebody like that comes in, and they impugn you like we're the worst people in the world. Like, we want that. What the gentleman's talking about, half-acre zoning, we have that. That exists in town. But the problem is, somebody with an affordable housing lawsuit or fair share housing can come in and invoke what they call a builder's remedy, and they can increase the density almost 12 to 1 on these properties, and we can't stop them. It's not here. You have to go to the state and stop that. We can't stop them here.
How are those houses affordable housing? They're a lot of money.
Name and address.
We'll get to you in 1 second. I'm finishing my rebuttal.
Good question.
But so anyway, folks, I don't want you. You know, he comes up here thinking we came in and we started. Yeah, let's build everything that's tasteless, and we don't have control over that. When they want to build something that's fair share housing, which used to be the COA, the affordable housing, it's really hard to stop as long as they meet the setbacks, height requirement, and the impervious coverage, things like that. That's what we're dealt with, trying to work within that those confines of that.
Just to understand it, when COA started, when COA gave us our allotment of how many units that we would have to build, I think our number was 11 or 1,200 low and moderate income homes. That's 1,200. Typically, when a builder comes in and builds, he then gets an increased density, builds 80 to 85% of his units are what's called market rate units, and then he's supposed to then build 15 to 20%, depending on whether they're sales or rental, which become low and moderate income units. So that means for 1,100 units, you're talking about 5,000 or 6,000 units that get built to get you the 1,100. Now we've culled that number down, but in all of those projects, and you mentioned the Toll Brothers, and you're about to speak, but the Toll Brothers project, first of all, they have a lot of acreage that they can't use, but they would argue that is part of their number in terms of getting density that should be part of the mix because they're cluster zoning. That's why they're close together. But in addition, they've made contributions. Instead of building on site the low and moderate income housing, they made contributions, substantial amount of money for us to then use that money to build low and moderate income housing. And
So
there
that
are
means
those.
more development.
Excuse me?
Does that mean more development then with that money?
Well, those are some of the developments he was discussing. Okay, a lot of these developments are created and the density is increased because of the Mount Laurel cases and COA. And then, our argument has always been we have 3,000 apartments in town that are low and moderate income units, but we get no credit for those apartments because they were built before 1980 something, and those were built in the 60s, and they're not counted towards our number. So we use it every time we can, and we argue about it, but the bottom line is there is no case that supports us that allows us to get credit for those units. So that's where we're at, and that's one of the reasons why a lot of these developments, including developments like the Manor, developments like Cotswold, a lot of those units were built also as part of a resolution of potential litigation. Now, back in the day, when those units were built, a builder could file a suit asking for a builder's remedy, and then the case got settled, and that was the end of it. Starting, I don't know how many years ago, of course, lucky enough when we became involved, certainly I became involved.
We inherited.
That stopped. It ended up, the court had jurisdiction. They had to notify Fair Share Housing whenever there was a settlement, and they would come in, and the people from Fair Share Housing would look at every potential development and say, well, wait a second, no, you need to get more density in here and not allow the settlement to go through. So that was a substantial change, and we had experts that we hired, expert lawyer in the issue, to deal with what's called the realistic development potential, to say we can't develop all these units, we need to cull it down, but we still have to provide for a substantial number of units.
Can I make one quick comment on his comment? So he made a comment that the planning board isn't qualified to make the decisions. Both the mayor and myself, the mayor sat on the planning board, I sit on the planning board today. For those of you that were here in the beginning, when I started mentioning that we had a subdivision topic that came up this past Monday, which literally we thought was going to take 15 or 20 minutes, took us about 3 hours for the exact reason why you elected us, because we looked at it. It was a property that we could have built a big house on, or we could have put 2 little houses on, to his point of Wanamassa type style houses. We couldn't make a decision, and we're actually all going out to visit the property, looking at what the houses look like around the area, looking at the size of the lots, looking at the density, looking at what we should do with that one property that's only 120 by 150. But that's the amount of time we took Monday night to try to analyze and look at and determine what was best for the community. We've done that. I've only been on 3.5 years, but we do that on every single application. I can assure you, nothing just gets rubber stamped.
And I have to tell you, I was the planning board attorney for about 14 years, and those people on the planning board, I used to get very upset because people would come in from the public and start yelling at the people on the planning board, and you know that we pay your salary. Well, all the members of that planning board who get yelled at and abused don't get paid anything. They're volunteers, and they worked very hard and made every effort to do the best job they could do. And frankly, I think it's unfair to attack, especially those people who are volunteering their time to try to help the town and think they're doing a good job or the best job they can do, sometimes under difficult circumstances.
Did you have a question?
Melissa Stryker,
Yes.
Appleby Drive in Wanamassa.
Okay.
Just lower.
Just for the shrimps. I have several quick questions. One of them, I hope you can explain it quickly. There was a state rule regulation passed maybe 2 or 3 years ago that said property taxes should not go up more than 2%. Mine went up last year more than 2%. Now my property was raised in value, though it's an old house. It needs painting. I don't know why it went up, jumped like it did. But now mine is up $600. So now in 2 years, my taxes have gone up $1,000. And I'm not working anymore. So this is not fun. How do you get to this 2%
So
number
the 2%,
when my money is when I'm looking at mine, it's 6%.
yeah, the 2% is based on how much taxation we can raise. And if we raise 21 million a year in taxation, our budget's much more than that, but we only raise 21 million from taxation. We theoretically can go 2% above that.
And then you
We can
just
go a
roll
half a
that
million,
out
but we don't.
throughout.
But we didn't. We didn't. It was zero. This year was zero. The letter you got says right there 0.
So that only applied to municipal.
No. The school has a 2%. They can't raise the tax levy more than 2% either. However, what you're talking about, your increases are coming from your value alone. It's really not coming from taxation.
It's older. It's got.
Yeah, but
We have a
Well,
mechanism.
this
You
is the
can
question
appeal.
I think you have to ask yourself, and I don't know the answer. I don't know anything about your house. I don't know where you live. I'm sure it's lovely, though. But the bottom line is, your house is assessed at a certain amount, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If you were to sell your house, would you sell it for that amount? Would you sell it for more?
I don't think I could get what they've
Well,
assessed
then you
it
have
for.
the right to file an appeal and say the number's too high. Most people come in and they don't like the idea of they're paying X amount of dollars in taxes, and my answer usually to them is, okay, your house has been assessed at $520,000. How much you think it's worth? Yeah, about 600, 610. That's what you think it's all for you. Well, then you don't have a beef. They're assessing you at less than what you can sell your house for. So if you believe that your house is assessed higher than for what it can sell for, then you have the right to file a tax appeal.
Well, I
and
might do
reduce it.
that.
Okay, there's a timing issue. I don't know what the timing issue is, but just
You have till January 1st.
Okay, now I have another question. We're talking about the school taxes. You said that it was 10 years ago we got the same amount of money as we're getting now.
No, we got more in state aid in dollars
10
years ago, and actually I gave an estimate that's actually less because we actually got more money from the state of New Jersey to help us with our school budget more than 10 years ago. But I intentionally used the 10 years ago figure, and when I sat with Mr. Janarone, he said, yeah, you could say 10. It's probably more like 14 or 15 years, but
Okay.
you could say 10.
All right, based on that,
I know.
how about the number of students in the school system? My understanding is the number of students has dropped. I worked at Brookdale, and the demographics has worked out before I had to retire because I wasn't well. The demographics worked out that we were having a smaller and smaller group to get students from because the demographics there just weren't as many kids in that age group.
True.
So, have the numbers of the students changed?
Yes.
Yes. However, not to defend them, but however, so yes, enrollment, keep me honest, Mr. Long, enrollment has gone down, but the special needs enrollment has gone up, and the cost to educate that group is considerably higher than a mainstream student.
Right.
But
What
do they
we
look
had-
at that, or
we
do they
had-
look at number of students?
Well, one of the things that one of the things that the Appropriations Committee in the State Assembly has been lobbied about has been the cost of special education. We spend a lot of money on our special needs students. We have an increase in the school population for special needs students. Mr. Chera sat on the Board of Ed with me. I sat on the Board of Ed before I joined the council. I'm a retired educator, college professor. I have a master's degree with my thesis on school finance. My master's thesis was in school finance. So I know the field pretty well, and I can concur with Mr. Richera. We have an increase in Ocean Township Public Schools of special needs students, and there's a reason for that. People find out who in the Jersey Shore area has a great special ed program. Ocean Township has a great special ed program. So parents frequently take their special needs students and take them from one municipality, they move into Ocean Township. For regular education, what are called regular ed students, we have a declining population. One of the reasons for that is what are called our Monmouth County vocational schools. I still don't understand that name, but Mast on Sandy Hook, High Tech High at Brookdale, the special school in medical careers in Neptune. There are about 6 of them, if I recall correctly. They take a number of our students every year because we simply cannot specialize Ocean Township High School to provide the kind of education those kids get in those specialized schools. We can't compete with something like Mast, which is a Marine Academy on Sandy Hook. We can't do that.
So we're not paying
our regular
for
ed.
them.
I'm just going to
No,
finish
we
this
are.
thought. Our regular ed numbers are down, but our special ed numbers are up, and it costs a lot of money, especially if we have what are called out-of-district placements, where we can't provide what that particular special needs student needs, what he or she requires. So we have to place that student outside the district. The costs are astronomical, but all 600 districts have this complaint. So they've gone to the Appropriations Committee, they've gone to the Budget Committee at the State Assembly level, and they have pled their case. Please help us with these costs. So far, there has not been an adequate response from the state of New Jersey. So the costs are borne by the local boards of ed.
Or is the point of some of this, well, this is practically a political discussion, which it seems silly, but don't they want consolidation of schools? I mean, Deal School has, what, 70 students, and they have a principal, a vice principal, a superintendent, and these 600 schools have all these administrative stuff. So isn't the state trying to force consolidation?
No.
They're not.
So I don't want to get political. So there are a number of states that have county-wide districts instead of individual districts like we do. Right. So there's a county-wide superintendent instead of having no disrespect to our superintendents, it's just the way it's laid out. So you have less overhead, you have less resources, you have less costs if you do a county-wide system. Think about, I'm just going to be very blunt, and again, as Mr. Long said, it goes both ways, on both sides. There's a lot of patronage that goes on in schools. So the more districts you have, the more jobs you have, the more people that can get hired, the more you can have people that do what you want them to do. So
little kingdoms,
fiefdoms.
We're getting off track. It is very political. You need to.
All right. My other question was, what has ever happened to the deer survey?
So the deer survey was completed. What happened then is it gets submitted back to the New Jersey State Game and Wildlife. Probably won't hear from them till after January, and then take it from there.
What kind of answers, responses?
That there was definitely, most folks agreed that we have a deer situation here in Ocean Township. We have an abundance of deer. That was concurred.
All right. I just saw on Corley's Avenue a giant buck crossing the street. The Logan Road property, what's going on with that?
The Logan Road property, you mean?
1515.
Oh, 1515 Logan Road. Okay, we're still in our infancy stage of contract, so we'll keep you posted. We have what we call.
Is that like you're going to do it and you're just
we're working on it. It's a letter of intent to buy is in right now.
And what about the property near the golf course?
We own it.
And what are we town?
We're going to little by little. We'll do a capital improvement there to utilize the building First phase will be to use the left side of the building because it's more usable right now. Open up the walls. There's a nice room for art class back there, and we can do something in the front. The second part of the building is going to be a little more of a challenge because it's, it was chopped up so many times and so many different additions to it. And then, of course, the parking lot's the main thing. Taking the fence down and utilizing the parking lot that's there, existing, for the overflow parking of the golf course.
Yeah, because you don't want to take any trees down there.
None to take down.
By that
Zero.
water.
None to take
Well,
down.
there's all that underbrush and everything along that side of our lake people.
Yep.
Lake guy would know about that. Okay, so I guess I can see if I can plead my case about my taxes.
Yeah, absolutely. You feel
$1,000 in 2 years,
we don't want.
all the
Listen,
money.
we don't want any more than what we need to run the town. We try to keep our portion stable, and we tell folks if we think it's unfair, by all means, appeal it.
So it used to have to be 20%? Now
15. It used to be 15%. Now the system we're on now, that has to be an accurate amount for your home. If it's not worth that, by all means, you have the right to an appeal.
And on paper, you could say it has X amount of bedrooms, baths, and this, but that doesn't mean it's the same as another house.
Understood.
That's like
Yeah.
that. That's a real estate appraisal when it's done that way, and nobody actually came into my house.
Well, they are doing that every couple of years. You'll see somebody coming through.
Well, I had it done
every 5
2 or
years.
3 years ago.
Okay, you won't see them for a couple more years.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, Mr. Huss, one more.
I'm a little offended by that character that brought that here.
Well, I'm offended for the
we're
poor
talking-
volunteers that he
We're talking about
impeded when he ran out the
Wanamassa,
door.
the smaller houses in Wanamassa. If you go down, as you enter Town Hall, there's about 300, 400 names that served in World War II. My cousin took a dive into the ocean in World War II. So I'm offended by anything. And luckily, November 11th came along, Armistice Day, I believe, right?
Yep.
Right? And these guys were coming home. And Brower came up and built several hundred nice small houses
Post-World
for
War
these
II.
guys to come home and live in Ocean Township. So I'm offended by the way he talked about those people, those houses in Wanamassa. Yeah,
Excuse me, time out.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
There's no need.
I'm
No
sorry.
dog pile.
I'm sorry. He
No dog pile.
definitely downgraded those houses. I don't care what you say. He did. And the other thing is, you're talking about master plans and everything else. We developed a master plan in '79, and when I got off, that was the last thing I did. And one thing we did, we took out condos, and unfortunately, we ended up in I had appealed the thing in Cotswold. It cost me a couple $100, up $1,000, but it ended up in court, and we lost. So Cotswold held. That's how Cotswold got there,
That's
right?
exactly right.
It was 12, and then it went 6, and you say whatever it was at 2.5, or it might matter. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anybody else have anything new? Oh, hello.
I wanted to ask about, speaking about what Alan was saying about the houses. You're saying then they're affordable housing? What's in those lots of what he was discussing
The
about
four
bad
developments
taste
he mentioned,
homes?
except for English Manor, because that was approved in 2001, and they were built according to an R4 zone with the proper setbacks, the proper side yard, front yard, rear yard, height, square footage, impervious coverage. I mean, everything was right according to our ordinance. Nothing was changed for that. The other four that he had mentioned were all part of a 2009 COA lawsuit, which is now Fair Share Housing. And that's been going on, and we've been fighting that quietly since 2009. We have a special attorney that handles that case for us, and we're in court Monday with it. Again, trying to get our reasonable number, what they call our regional development potential,
Realistic
RDP.
development potential.
That's our RDP, and then of course there's our unmet need, which they have at 1,100 and whatever. So we're trying to deal with that. We're not doing it. We're not bringing that. We're coping with it, and we're fighting it on behalf of all of you. Is what we do.
But the bottom line is, your question, the lawsuit that was filed involved the what is now the Toll Brothers property. That was part of the lawsuit. where the builder wanted to build, I believe, 500 homes.
498, let's not
I don't want
overdo
to
it.
exaggerate.
Don't overdo it.
498 homes, which are
Right.
now how many homes?
75.
75. The properties off of West Park, that was another one of the lawsuits, which actually did get resolved as part of the lawsuit. The property next to that on West Park is 100% low and moderate income housing to try to meet our numbers. And there's another property at Roosevelt. But the bottom line is, we had 4 lawsuits that we had to deal with. And the other property that you
The
mentioned
Martelli.
was the Martelli property, where you had a builder who was looking to build homes just like the homes, because I live near there, around there, and it took so long because the neighborhood fought it. And that we're talking about half-acre to 3/4 acre zoning with nice-sized houses. The neighborhood fought that for so long, and it delayed it so long.
He invoked the
that by
builder's
the
remedy.
time he finally got his approvals, the market went dead, and then he ended up being one of the ones who said, "I have a right to build 120 homes on that property and have low and moderate income housing plus 80% full value, market value," and the end result of that was about 29 homes.
So they are affordable homes, the 29?
No.
He made a contribution.
He built market rate and made a contribution.
They're making a
Okay,
contribution.
so essentially we don't have any affordable housing?
We have 240 so far, I think.
Yeah,
accounted
basically
for.
we've accounted for our realistic development potential. There are some issues that we're still dealing with that I want to get into. But the bottom line is we have 200, we've accounted for about 240 or 249
We have.
homes that we can comply with. Whether that ends up our number or not, I don't know. But part of that is also homes that were being built off of West Park Avenue that are going to have a percentage low and moderate, plus the 100% low and moderate development. That's going.
And the young lady's right. The affordable, as Marty alluded to, only 20% have to be affordable. The rest are market rate. That's another plan. Just like Rich doesn't like the school funding formula, I hate the COA plan. I'm all for affordable housing. I hate that it's a gratuitous plan for the builders, developers to come in and say, "Great, I get 10 times the density and 80% could be market rate." Like they really clean up on that. That's another issue at the state.
So we could have like
and
an
we've been
orange
arguing
zone.
that, and yes, we've been fighting that since 2009.
Zone that says 2 houses per acre, and then the builder comes in and says we want to build 18 to 20 houses per acre, or maybe the max that we've allowed so far in certain areas are 12. But the bottom line is, that's the battle every time. So
I think what Alan also meant, like the size of the homes for the space around them, and the house on Whale Pond is a perfect example of something that doesn't fit in, is an eyesore, and it continuously
That was a zoning
comes up.
board, and you got to go to those folks, whoever were on the zoning board in 2013 approved it. I
And
would
as
talk
I've
to
said
them.
many times for many of these questions, beauty seems to be in the eye of the beholder. So I'm sure the guy building that house thinks it's great.
No, but a lot of, not everyone's on Ocean Cares. There are a lot of people in this community that care. They're just not on the internet. And no, it's been a laughing stock, that house. It's terrible because it's just doesn't fit in on that
Right.
small lot.
Absolutely.
And I don't understand
First
how.
of all, when you say a small lot,
It's not small
that
anymore.
is not a small lot.
No, it's a big
That
foot
lot-
in a little shoe.
No. That lot is at least 4, if not more, building lots.
4 lots.
So you have, that's a 2-acre lot probably.
But most of it's being taken up by the house.
Not most of it, but certainly it's a big house.
It's very close to its neighbor now, who's sporting a say 32 acres sign, because people. I understand what Alan was saying, but it also brought up to mind that I promised to follow up because Ray is on vacation this week, and in terms of the Toll Brothers, which just came up again. Whatever happened with the money that came up at that meeting?
So
Has any resolution been made on
that?
that?
We have a resolution. I'm going to tell you where the money is. As per the agreement, like I told you, there was an agreement. The money wasn't due until COs are pulled. No COs have been pulled yet. So when a certificate of occupancy, that's a CO, folks. When they're pulled, and typically all these agreements are hinged on either permits or certificate of occupancies. So the shade tree money will come in once the first certificate of occupancy is pulled. That hasn't been pulled yet. Now, he did build a model, and so he is agreeable to sending that $131,000 check in once he applies for his CO on the model, which will probably be this week coming up.
He doesn't have a certificate of occupancy, but houses are going up already?
Yeah, there's houses can go up with building permits, and the permits are tied to the affordable housing payment. That's something else. So as the houses go up, every house that goes up with a building permit, he deposits $24,000 into the affordable housing account. So it's all where it should be, going where it should be, on a time schedule, just like it was in the resolution.
But
just
building
like
permit-
everyone.
The building permit gives you the right to build a house, but you can't occupy a house until you get a certificate of occupancy. So those are the two items.
But I thought the money was about the trees that were coming down. Each tree has a certain value to it. So I would,
He's
if
gonna
somebody
pay-
was gonna pay me for how many trees they took down, I would want to be paid before they took the trees down, because what if they take all the trees down and don't come up with the money?
That's what the
They
bond
go
is for.
bankrupt and
They-
now we don't have the money.
Jackie,
And we
they
don't have the trees.
If they take them all down, they don't build a development, they have probably $2 million in escrow for a performance bond, maintenance, all that stuff's in there. That's specifically what that bonding's about.
Okay.
In case somebody abandons a project, we can at least have enough money to finish or close it up or, put it back to the way it was.
Okay.
But this year, checks of previous order will be sent out to the town. The Shade Tree Fund check of $131,250 and the $24,000 affordable housing check for each model. Both are noted in the resolution. The Shade Tree Fund is due before our first CO. Okay, so as soon as we get the first CO, before the first CO. As for affordable housing payments, that's owed $24,000 per home, per resolution, per model. The first CO, and since they did not pay that, they're going to send that one in. And after that, the first 6 will be hinged to that, and then the next 69 they can send a whole lump in.
And then the money you get for affordable housing, where does that go?
We've gotten some of that.
And we've gotten some of the affordable housing.
Affordable housing fund, because they didn't build affordable housing there, we're going to have to build affordable housing, and we have plans to do that. And so that money goes to reimburse the town for other purchases.
So that money goes to us, so now we will build affordable housing that we will own?
No, we won't build necessarily affordable housing, but typically when you build affordable housing projects that are strictly affordable housing, the town also then has to make contributions.
Land contribution.
Land contribution.
We can buy the 32 acres and have to donate it back for affordable housing. That's the kicker.
That's the other thing.
You could buy it, but have to use it for affordable.
Well, maybe a portion, 32 acres is not necessarily about, we realize a part of it would be developed as is noted in the master plan. We just would like smart development, the way they were they took away a gas station. I think in the 70s there was one, it was taken away. So those zoning changes they're important, what happens there with the zoning changes, because they don't really, like with that house, you're saying it didn't go through the master plan, it was a zoning change. Like, who regulates zoning changes?
No, it wasn't a zoning change, it was at the zoning board.
The zoning board.
For that
I
approval.
don't remember what all the different.
So when did they meet?
That was.
Board meets.
They meet every
Thursday.
And they don't meet and coordinate anything with the planning board?
No, the planning, but they're two different boards.
Separate entities.
There are two different boards.
But they should be more in sync, because it doesn't, I just
different
still
boards.
surprises me that happens.
Okay. There's two different boards. One board is the planning board.
I understand that, but shouldn't they be more in sync? I think, I'm just thinking what Alan is saying about the disconnect of the way the town's looking.
The architectural designs, you mean? So
Yeah, just the
he's talking
cohesiveness.
about nearby towns that, like Ocean Grove, who have a 99-year land lease,
say
and
they
they
should
have
be
an
the same.
architectural
The planning
ordinance.
board.
If
and the-
zoning allowed that.
Time out. The planning board and the zoning board have the same professionals, so they are in sync. The township, the planning administrator's there for both meetings. The planner's there for both meetings. The engineers are there for both meetings. So they have a common thread, and then you have different board members, although you do have, in our case, we have one board member who's on both boards and is sort of a liaison so that he knows what's going on with both boards. So yes, there is a connection there. And then the planning board handles usually major applications, whether it's site plan or subdivisions. The zoning board usually handles individual house applications, and they would also handle anybody who needs what's called a D variance, which is a use variance. That house was just a single house requiring bulk variances, whatever bulk variances required, I don't know. But
Did you ever see sketches of it? Anyone?
I wouldn't look at it.
They presented them to the zoning board, yeah. They had to.
But the planning board never had to see that.
No, that wasn't see, planning board's for permitted use, zoning board's a non-permitted use. It's two different boards, as Marty said. Same community developer. In other words, it was Mary Ann Walensky, now it's Ron Kirk. So any applicants that come in, whether it's zoning or planning, his department will get it, they'll review it, and they'll send it to the plumbing inspector, the building inspector, electrical, different professionals, or engineers, or planners, for everybody to review, make comments, the Shade Tree Environmental Commission, all make comments on these plans.
Same professionals are reviewing it.
Okay. Has the developer put an application in yet for the?
They submitted their
permit?
plans, yes.
Is
For
that
this-
considered an application for the?
He submitted an application. It hasn't been fully reviewed yet, though.
Okay. When will that happen?
It's in review, but I don't know how long it's going to take for the review to be finished.
But if we were
And
going to
then-
bring experts of our own to those meetings, how
You'll
much
know-
time will we
I'll
have
give you
to
guys
mobilize?
plenty of notice, like I did before on anything else that he's done. I've always promised you notice, and I've always delivered, and I'll do that again. I promise you.
Neighboring property owners within 200 feet get notice at least 10 days before the hearing. In addition, they publish the notice at least 10 days before the hearing. Before any of that happens, the application has to be deemed complete, and then, which will be...
Jackie, once it's complete, we know that they have a target date. We'll get that information out.
Well, Maurice said he put in an environmental impact statement already.
Yeah, that's
He
included in
submitted
his,
that.
that was submitted, correct.
So do we get to see that?
Yep.
Do we know
Once
what
it's
kind
complete, and like Marty said, once the plans are deemed complete, they'll be up there at the counter for anybody to come look at.
At what counter?
The building, zoning, up there.
Up in the building?
Yeah, it's all the same, the second level.
And from what I understand from the Sahara Club is that when the environmental impact statement is submitted, we're all supposed to be in tandem with a heritage tree count. Has that happened, do you know?
We don't know. That's going to be
When he has a complete application, that will all be in there.
Not by the council. It'll be handled by the planning board.
Who does the count?
I have no idea, but that's going to be handled through the planning board, not here. So you can
Okay.
ask questions, but we're not.
So then we should bring those questions to the planning board?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Brockle.
Did you like that? Don Brockle, West Islanders, Chairman of the DLA Commission. So you probably saw the big fancy article on Asbury Park Press that read Deal Lake beset by toxic scum.
But nobody brought it up. Why can't we
Well, I
go
know, I
home?
can't believe it, but I brought it
Okay.
up. So
Go ahead.
I was sitting in a hotel
Go ahead, Don.
in a meeting in at Fort Campbell, and I got a couple of texts and about 5 phone calls all in a 5-minute period. So I was pretty upset by the article. We have conversations going on with the Monmouth County Public Health, with the state, obviously with our professionals within the DLA Commission, and obviously we don't like green scum in a lake. We do not have green scum in a lake. We do have an algae problem. We have that for decades in Deal
So,
Lake.
Mr.
It's
Brock,
nothing
Don,
new. Yeah.
My friends, my brother use that lake every day with their kayak. Safe? I mean, they're trying to scare them out of the lake there.
I'm not going to say safe or not. I'm going to say they got to be cautious. If they get, they
Right.
should be swimming in the lake. It's not a swimmable lake. You got to be cautious. Right now, there is the official guidance is a warning to not recreate in the lake. I have a disagreement with the county and what recreate means. I would not go on stand-up paddleboards. I would not be swimming in it. I wouldn't be wading in it. You'd be fishing it. You don't want to eat the fish at the present time, even though our expert says you can't get anything from the fish that are in there. It's a standard. The fish restrictions in Deal Lake are the same as in Sussex County. Exactly the same. Nice clean water up there, dirty water in Deal Lake, same restrictions. It's actually stronger. There's more restrictions down in South Jersey and up in Newark area than we have here. So
Okay.
just for the public's notice.
Thank you.
But we are looking into it. The standards that the state of New Jersey use is a lot different than many other states in terms of levels of toxicity. We believe they're not using those levels. They're using cell count. And it's just an easier way to do it. We're hopefully going to work with them to change that level because and of course the lake sections are important. The front lake east section we believe has a lot more pollution in it. And the toxic, the levels of cell counts are higher there than the back reaches of the lake. So they are testing, as of today, they tested at least 6 sections of the lake.
Good.
So we should have
We'll have
results in
something by
tomorrow.
the weekend.
And, right. Hopefully we'll have a lift of it or less restrictions than
Yeah.
we did before. But I just wanted to inform the council.
Good. Thank you for that. You and I spoke about it. I want somebody to come and talk about it because there's a lot of confusion out there about it.
Right. But I'm going to ask. I'm going to ask the town and all
We'll
the
do our
towns
part.
to do your part, and the public to do their part. Less fertilizer, right?
Right.
Street sweeping, cleaning the storms.
No leaves in the lake if you live
No
up to
leaves in the lake. No
That's
blowing leaves in the lake. I don't know how many people. The
Grass
biggest
clipping.
complainers in the lake are the ones with their landscapers blowing grass and blowing leaves in the lake,
Right.
which is amazing. Trees, obviously, I'm a tree lover too. like to see more of a green. I'd like to see a hell of a lot more trees around the town, especially the Deal Lake watershed.
We're getting a
not necessarily in by the lake, but
Right.
around the watershed area, because that definitely helps with.
One of the things we're asking the Shade Tree Committee, and they're putting something together for us, to come up with a tree plan, because we have quite a bit of money in there, and let's do that, and probably with your guidance with some of those areas.
And one recommendation in neighborhoods, if people have, there's people that want to help out, maybe have a neighborhood campaign to plant a specific tree in a specific neighborhood on a specific section to make it look more beautiful.
Right.
I know the people in Colonial Terrace has that, and the people in, I guess, in the in Shadow Lawn area had that, and they lost their
Shadow
trees. I
Lawn
think they
had-
put them
yeah.
back. So
Right.
it's all good. But that's it, I think.
Okay.
So, okay.
Thank you, Mr. Brockel.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, I want to thank you all for coming. Remember, we air twice a day at 10 a.m. and 7 p.m. Channel 77 if you have Cablevision, and 22 if you have Files. Someone make a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second?
Second. Deputy Mayor Chair.
Yes.
Council members Long.
Yes.
Napolitani.
Yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
And Mayor Siciliano.
Yes, meeting adjourned. Thank you all for coming.